So we touched on this a little bit earlier in the stream, and I want to circle back to it because there is another tidbit that's interesting about this. Ubisoft just had their general meeting 2025, where they basically share the current state of the company. They answer questions from shareholders, investors, all of that. Some of these questions were very interesting, very confrontational. Some investors very upset on the current state of Ubisoft, and so they demanded answers from Yves Guillemot, the CEO of Ubisoft, as you would expect them to do. But one of the most interesting little pieces of this is some of his statements over microtransactions. Now, I would just play you the snippets from this thing, but it's a live translation from French into English, and it's super quiet. It's super like monotone. It's tough to listen to. So PC Gamer transcribed it with the help of MP First and all of this, and it's quite interesting, okay? As you can see with the title, Ubisoft defends microtransactions, claims they make games more fun. Do they, though? Do they? Interesting, bold statement. Ubisoft explained, quote, the adoption of monetization and engagement policies that respect the player experience and are sustainable in the long term. At Ubisoft, the golden rule when developing premium games is to allow players to enjoy the game in full without having to spend more. Okay, I agree, that's good. Give people the game if they buy it. Our monetization offer within premium games makes the player experience more fun by allowing them to personalize their avatars or progress more quickly. However, this is always optional. So here's the thing, okay? There's two components of this. For one, yes, it's funny to say that monetization makes games more fun because it's just kind of cringe, okay? It's just kind of cringe. It's just a stupid thing to say. I'm sorry, it just is. But to go specifically to what they're pointing to, which is cosmetics, optional cosmetics, and then also things like time boosters or XP boosters and things. Map microtransactions, you pay $5 to get told where all of the treasure chests are on a map or something. Those, I think, also have broad and sweeping implications as well, okay? Because as I've pointed out before, what is the incentive if you're trying to balance a game in a way where you get people to buy things? What happens is if the regular scaling would have been like this, you know, as you play the game, you level up, and maybe towards the end it slows down a little bit, but this is what would normally happen. This is maybe level like 60, and this is for the end game. If we look at a game like AC Odyssey, this is kind of what I felt happened, was that this is what a normal game would be the black bar. What was AC Odyssey was kind of like this. So as you played the game, the scaling was quite slow, slower than you felt it should have been. And so what you had to do was you had to grind out side quests to make up this gap. And the side quests would give you the XP to go and get to level 60 to continue on with the main story, right? But they sold you a solution. They just happened to have one available for $5. And that was the XP boost that in my testing back, I mean, again, at this point, we're talking 6-7 years ago. So I don't know if they adjusted it, but 6-7 years ago when the game came out and I was testing it with like spreadsheets and everything, my experience was the XP boost actually kept it much more like this, even at times going above what you would have expected. And you were over leveled for main story quest lines and stuff. So if you were willing to spend money, you didn't have to grind, which I think is the opposite of that. And they banned the mods that added the quests that gave you good XP. Yeah. It's just, I think it's a natural thing that happens when you get money for a thing that boosts XP, is that your game is going to turn into kind of a grindy game, because then you're pushing people into spending money and generating revenue. It's just what's going to happen. And what basically that does is it turns those who paid the money, even if it's just $5, it turns them into the players who got the experience that would have been considered normal typically. The experience that's not grindy and slow, they got to just play the game at a decent pace and a decent leveling because they bought the XP that actually just adjusted the equation to what it normally would be, you know? So I think that's one thing with the like progress more quickly statement, is they're talking about XP boosts and things like that, maps that tell you where hidden treasures are. And on the one hand, yeah, those are just kind of cringe, like if you're buying those, because you bought the video game for whatever, $70 or $20 on sale, whatever it is. It feels weird to me to pay extra to play less of the game, you know, like you're paying to skip stuff. And typically people don't want to skip something that they like. You know, the whole idea of an XP boost in a video game is just weird to me, because it seems like a video game should be one of those experiences that you can just enjoy, whether you are taking your time with it or you're progressing quickly. Like if you like the game, you like the game. You know, it feels weird to skip it. But beyond that, like they'll point to some examples. They're like, hey, some people don't have time to grind out for weeks and weeks and weeks XP to level up to get to the end of the game. I'm like, okay, but if the game is fun, they're probably having fun. So what's the rush? It's a single player game. Like, I don't understand what the rush is. Now, beyond this, they also point to, of course, personalization of avatars and cosmetics and things. The problem with this is that let me see if I can pull it up. Their cosmetics rarely have no gameplay effect. Like typically they actually do have a gameplay effect and they actually do have an impact. Like this is a Joraptor video, of course, getting item for free, deluxe edition, item showcase. Let me see if he shows like the stats and stuff. So this is with the key items. So this is in the exchange, but you can basically see like even these items, they're not just skins. They have a damage. They have a posture DPS, ability DPS. They have different abilities tied to them. They might have different engraving slots available to them. So if you spend more, it also skips out on gameplay because it makes it so you don't have to go look for better equipment or better gear. And once again, it's like pay to progress faster, sure. But the other aspect of this is that it leads to situations where the coolest cosmetics and the most interesting cosmetics are getting cut from the game just to be sold back to you. So they have an incentive for the stuff in the base game to not be that remarkable or interesting because they want to sell you those things on the back end for cash. You know, it's not as simple as just, oh, well, there's some skins that you can buy if you want to. Like, it's not as simple as that. It has broad sweeping impact on the experience for the people who are playing the game for free as well. You know, it's not just this thing in a vacuum. In my opinion, in my experience, it almost always spills over into the experience of the people who are just playing it without spending extra money on these aspects. Whether it's slowing down their progression so they feel an incentive to go and speed up the progression, or even if it's just taking out cool cosmetics that look cool to sell them back to you, or even locking away really powerful, useful weapons that have the best abilities and best aspects of them, just so they can sell them back to you as well. And so I just don't think it's maybe, who knows? I'm not somebody that spends, you know, the kind of money they're talking about. I don't spend a lot of money on microtransactions and cosmetics and stuff. I think the extent is like, I think I bought a skin for Bastion in Overwatch 2 however many years ago. It was like a Christmas, like gingerbread house cookie skin that I thought was fun. So I think I bought that one for like $5 or $7 or something like that. I don't know. I'm not. Oh, I was playing Fortnite with my little brother. And he was bullying me because I didn't have a skin. He said, "You're not." It's like if you play with, what did he call it? It was not vanilla skin. It was like a, I'm blanking on the term, but it was a term for like a starter default skin. Yeah. He's like, "Oh, you're going to play with that?" He's like, "If you play with that, my friends are going to make fun of you." I was like, noob skin. That was it, Mr. Mo. Noob skin. Yeah. He's like, "You're going to play with a noob skin. My friends are going to make fun of you." So I was like, oh, okay. So I did buy a Fortnite skin of a princess fish. And so that's my Fortnite skin whenever I play with my little brother, so that I don't get made fun of by his friends if we play with them, which is kind of hilarious that I'm getting bullied and peer pressured by, you know, preteens, but whatever. Anyway, but my point is, I'm not the guy that's spending, you know, hundreds of dollars on skins and XP boosts and stuff. So maybe it does make it more fun for them. Maybe it does. I wouldn't know, but I do know that it does make it less fun typically for everybody else. I think the vast majority of people are not spending money on XP boosts, on crazy, pink sparkle unicorn skins for their horse. Like, that is a minority of a minority of a minority of people that are spending a lot of money on a bunch of different skins and cosmetics and stuff. So yeah, I mean, it's another one of those statements from Yves Guillemot, the CEO of Ubisoft, that it's just out of touch. And I don't think he understands how that's going to be perceived by the gaming public and the online gaming community, where it's like he's the one that said quadruple A, that mentioned that. I was told from a very reliable source that when Yves Guillemot mentioned the quadruple A game thing with regard to Skull and Bones, where he said, really, in many ways, it's our first quadruple A game. That was off script. He was not supposed to call it a quadruple A game. That was just him going off the dome, trying to improvise something he thought would be like impressive to shareholders and to gamers, to be like, ooh, Skull and Bones quadruple A, I'll have to go buy it. But it got him in a lot of trouble. We still meme about that. We still joke about it all the time because it's such a crazy thing to say about that game, especially, but it's what happens when you have a multi-billionaire guy that's in charge of a game that's trying to appeal primarily to like 20-year-olds. So there's that. Wasn't he talking about the budget though? Yeah, he specifically, I think, was trying to communicate that it was a massive, massive budget game, which was part of the problem. But it was, in terms of budget, probably a quadruple A game. The problem is when you say quadruple A, that also implies a certain level of quality. And that's typically what people think of when they think of like double A, triple A, quadruple A. They attach it to quality due to a higher budget. They don't start with budget and therefore it leads to quality. So when you say something's quadruple A, they expect quadruple A quality. And so when it was not that, they were, the memes started. But all of this to say, it's more Ubisoft being Ubisoft, I guess. It's not the most surprising thing. Unfortunately, can't say I'm surprised. But it's just something I guess we've gotten used to at this point. It's like, oh, Yves Guillemot said something kind of stupid. Oh, well, yeah. It's just, what are you gonna do? That's just kind of what they do. Yeah, can't really say we're that surprised. What would a quadruple A game even look like? Realistically, Hannah, it's something like GTA 6. I think when somebody says quadruple A, that's what they have in their mind, is something on that crazy scale of production quality, on budget, on scope and scale. That's what I think they expect. They do not expect Skull and Bones. Okay, like Skull and Bones, not what they're thinking. Not what they're thinking. That ain't it, fam. That ain't it.